It's top of the hour. We should have let you have plenty of time to get settled into things. So what I'm going to do is give it a minute or so, just so everyone can get their notifications and join us. I'm discovering what the source of the technical issues may be, and heaven knows the running joke is it wouldn't be Talkin Con on a Sunday without a technical issue. Well, it looks like it's not the internet, which I've spent, as I've mentioned several times, lots of money on getting strong internet where I am in this part of the building. It does look like it's the laptop. It seems to struggle at trying to do lots of things like live streaming and then streaming pictures from screens and stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the opening credits. I'm going to bring my guest on and we're going to make our way through this. It's not how I like to do things, but I tell you something, I want to crack on with the show because I want to talk to this guy. I want to talk to our guest today. It's going to be a fun one, this. Let's see if this works, shall we? Oh, and that's where feedback kicks in because I've got phone on as well. I knew this was going to be fun. Hello, everybody. Welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name is Leonard Sultana, and each and every Sunday we talk comics, Comic-Cons, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to hear and see at such events. It's always so fun to get ourselves ready for San Diego Comic-Con, and indeed for cons around the world, of which we're going to talk about one or two coming up on today's show. But we're also really looking forward to talking to our special guest. As always, if you are jumping in, we've got one or two people already on the on the comments. Michael P is saying hello. Good morning from Colorado Springs. Hello there. Welcome along. Andrew English, hello from London. I'm sure he's getting himself ready. Was it next weekend after? I think it's in 2 weekends' time. London Film Comic Con coming to Olympia. Talk about that shortly as well. We have also got into the blue mister. Leonard hits intro button. World explodes. Well, okay, maybe not for you, but for me, it all does kind of feel a little bit like the world is on tenterhooks. 31 days to go to San Diego Comic Con, which means on earth he's doing coming on a live stream podcast and chill out and have time to kind of like relax, because 31 days he's got a lot on his plate. We are joined by Barry Elridge, who is the creative director of Factory Entertainment. Hello there, Barry. How the devil are you?
I'm good. And I think technical issues are very apropos, because anyone who's ever attended a convention or planned a convention knows it's essentially like jumping out of a helicopter without a parachute, and you just hope you hit something soft. So it's
that sounds about right. If anything, that sounds about right for me this year. I don't know what it is about San Diego Comic-Con this year, but I'm definitely taking it in a different stride. It's a different vibe for me this year. It's a little kind of like, not saying unprepared, just things. I'm holding on by my fingernails, but I'm getting there. I am getting there. But no, listen, I'm so grateful for you to come on. Factory Entertainment has been a mainstay for San Diego Comic Con and for nerds going onto the convention floor, and certainly those who are tearing apart exclusives listings each and every year, because what Factory Entertainment bring to the show every year is just so much variety, so much passion, which you clearly have for the products that you have and put onto the booth. I mean, first things first, let's go for a little bit of personal backstory. For yourself, Barry, I mean, for somebody who might be listening in and tuning in today's show, thinking, "Oh well, Factory Entertainment," but he's a Brit. He's another Brit. Well, what the hell's going on? Another Brit voice is going on. Give us a little bit of a background. Who are you, and how your sort of like journey to Factory Entertainment?
Sure. So, are we sitting comfortable, kiddies? And I will begin. Luck, lots of it in big capital letters, basically. I'm just a nerd who enjoys being a nerd and likes hanging out with other nerds, and has been really, really, really lucky. That's pretty much it. Years ago, just through luck, I'm sitting here in Sully, California at 10 a.m. and there you are at 6 p.m. So as you can tell from my thick California accent, but I am originally from the UK. Been doing this now for longer than I care to remember. Many years ago. I started off in the traditional toy business. I worked for a company that lots of your UK viewers will know, The Entertainer. I worked there for over a decade. I was in charge of their marketing and PR. That got me in touch with lots of people within the toy business. I then decided to have a midlife crisis and travel the world as a musician unsuccessfully. But I spent a lot of my time in Asia, and that got me in contact with various people that I'd had tangential arrangements with in the toy industry. Came back to the UK, ran a convention, oddly enough, Star Wars Celebration, the first one in Europe for Lucasfilm. That brought me here to America, and I've been here ever since, and they haven't been able to get rid of me, and they haven't quite worked out that I'm. So as long as we keep the myth going. One of the founding members of Factory Entertainment. Factory Entertainment was born out of a collectibles company that many people may remember that we won't talk about because I'll come out in hives and start shaking. But they used to make Star Wars product, specifically lightsabers and things like that. I came here to be involved in that, and that was a dream come true. And had been here approximately a week and realized that it was a company that was spiraling a drain. And thought, oh my God, what have I done? I brought my entire family halfway across the world and we're all going to have to go home. And I do remember talking to my wife. I went home one Friday and I said, well, don't get too attached to it because we're not going to be here long. And one thing led to another. One of the reasons for the demise of that company was they no longer wanted to focus on fans. They wanted to focus on mainstream toy products, selling to kids, trying to compete with, at the time, the likes of Mattel and Hasbro, which was a completely stupid idea, and neglected the kids. And I remember the CEO at the time telling me, well, if you think you're so clever, do it yourself. And so our founder was one of the original investors in the company. He felt the same as me, Jordan Schwartz, and we set up Factory, and we've kind of been here ever since. This will be our, I don't know if it's our 11th or our 12th Comic Con, to be honest.
Really?
Got to work it out. It's my 22nd, personally, or is it 23rd? You know what? It's been that long, I can't remember. Notwithstanding pandemic, so we did miss out. What was that? 2 years. So yeah, not concurrently. So it'll be the 11th year that we've been present in some way, whether it be on the shop, on the floor, or at the, I think what they call it, virtual con or whatever they called it. And then we ran our own consolation con that year. Boy, that was a fun year. So yeah, that's where we are, and we love the show. It's one of the few times they let us out of the dungeon to come and talk with the public. And it's the place where you get to meet. It's a gathering of the tribes. You get to be with your people, and for me, it's where I learn what's going on, what's hot, what's not, what people are into. So it's a mixture of a of a release, complete terror, and also really useful. You said 31 days, and a certain part of my anatomy tightened up at that point, because not 31 days. It's not 31 days. It will be fine. It'll be fine. But as my mother used to say, don't leave it to the last minute. Be more organized.
Well, you're not going to learn any lessons about that from this year.
No. But weirdly, this year, and I'm going to curse it now because what deity, we're way further ahead than we normally are. So
you said the quiet thing out loud.
One of my legs will fall off, or
what are you thinking?
Karma. I laugh in the face of danger.
Excellent. Well, listen, I have no problem with that, because I mean, like I say, when we go out onto that exhibition floor and in the convention center, it does feel like organized chaos. But factory entertainment for me always seems to be a safe haven, if anything, because you know that when you go there, you're going to get some really cool things. You're going to see some really cool things. And it's just a great place to visit. I'm really interested in the fact that you've turned around and said then that it's somewhere that you go to learn, to reconnect with the fans. I mean, obviously you've got other conventions you go to. You're running 365, and it's not just about San Diego Comic-Con. But what's the lead up time? What's the build up for San Diego when it comes to the
no word of a lie. It starts the day the previous year ends. We literally, on the last day, usually sit around and try and learn. And what we've learned is that everything changes, and you try and get out ahead of it. And it's a real juggling act, because you've got to try and you've got timing and boring stuff that I won't bore people with. That like most jobs, this is 5% fantastic and 95% terror, and just waiting around for who's going to let you down, and what's going to go wrong, and what's going to break, and what's going to blow up, and all of the above. But with Comic-Con, you've got to put your best foot forward, and you've got to have hot, trendy stuff. So we've got to try and guess what's going to be hot. And so when it's not so much a problem lately, because it's calmed down a bit, but over the last couple of years where things were getting delayed, we would have a whole bunch of product ready that we were going to release, and then we can't show it because the movie's been delayed, or the whatever happened, or the writers strike, or the actors strike. So you have to adjust and mix your thing and leave it as close to the last minute as you can, at the same time being very organized. So we've got, I think, 6 exclusives this year. We should have had more. There are several that just aren't going to make it because for one reason or another. So we'll just hopefully do them next year. And we've tried to learn to, you have to mix a combination of a very hot, trendy things. So we'll have some things from House of the Dragon, which is very current. Got the latest episode tonight. Mixed with more consistent things like Star Trek. Star Trek is a perennial. There's new Star Trek. There's active, exciting things happening in the world of Star Trek. But it doesn't matter if you miss a movie release or a new series, because it's a continuing thing that goes on. Nostalgia is big for us. We've got to try and guess what nostalgia titles are open, and that's how it works essentially.
You kind of beat me to it with the question then, because I mean, like you say, you've got 2 exclusives out at the moment, and they're very much based on nostalgia. Admittedly, like you say, Star Trek, it's got a lot of heat underneath it at the moment. Which do you feel, or which do you find are the exclusives that get the most attention? I mean, last year you got this amazing booth with some fantastic items on there. I unfortunately wasn't able to make it to 2023, but I saw the pictures, I saw the exclusives, and I saw how much excitement was around the items on display. Do you find that the hot and current, the shiny brand new thing, is that really the thing that kind of people are really into?
No, I'd be lying if I said I knew the secret. I gave up years ago trying to predict, because you never know. It's things that surprise you. Last year, our best-selling exclusive was the Batarang bottle opener, which was from Batman '89. an old show, so hence your bottle openers do well for us at Comic Con. They're small, they're relatively affordable, and some of our prop replicas can be challenging. There's a whole bunch that we can't sell at Comic Con. No swords, nothing stabby, and anything that you can't take back on a vehicle or a plane with you is going to be challenging, because the last thing we want is someone buying this thing that they fall in love with and get to the airport and be told you're not bringing that on my plane.
Yeah.
Because we do make some sharp, pointy things. So hence bottle openers are fairly casual, and they fill a nice niche that they look like a prop, but they're also functional. So they fit that partner approval thing where you're not bringing that in my house. It's stupid. And then, but I can open bottles with it. Oh, all right then, you know. stealth collectible, we call those. You can be a nerd without admitting you're a nerd. You can be, well, I'm not a real nerd because it actually does something, so it's okay, and it's a good excuse. But no, you can never tell. I mean, we knew the Batman thing would probably be popular because it's Batman, and let's be honest, it's called Comic Con, the first word, even though it has had less and less to do with comics in recent years. It's still a Comic Con, so you would hope that a Batman product would do well. But you honestly, until the doors roll up on opening day, I mean, we get a little bit of guidance from online sales, but they don't always track either. Really? Some of the things that did very well last year online did not perform that well live at the show, and vice versa. So it really is a case of the old, you know, you pays your money and it takes your choice. We set up the market stall and we come out and we give it a good bit of banter, and we hope people like what we've got. But yeah, there's been a couple of things over the years where I thought, it's a dead cert, it's a real winner, and I put my, you know, literal money and mouth behind it, and then it's just a complete damp squib, and you're like, well, what do I know?
You know what? You're kind of beating me to it with a couple of questions, because I was actually going to lead on to that. I was going to ask that in a bit about what are those, which are the ones which you feel were going to be absolute winners and just didn't quite connect. But I do want to talk about, we'll lead on to that, because obviously we're talking about San Diego Comic-Con, 31 days to go. How has the relationship been with San Diego Comic-Con, and how has it evolved over the like you say, the 11 years that Factory Entertainment in its current form has had, especially with the likes of studios not going to the convention, so some of the heats come off the show. Obviously, we had the pandemic as well, so that really kind of drew a lot of people away from the convention, and you had to kind of rebuild once again. How has the relationship been with the actual convention itself?
Luckily, I mean, we lost a lot of people during the, you know, they were all laid off. So you got these people who were experts in what they were doing. You knew them by name, and then suddenly they weren't there anymore. And
Have we lost Barry, or have you lost me? No, we lost Barry. So we lost. Okay, I genuinely thought you'd lost me. I was about to try and log back in on my phone, which is where we were. Hopefully, Barry will give it another go and come back in. It's a shame because I was really getting into that, and I thought it kind of ironed out some of the issues. While we're waiting, I mean, Barry may kind of try and come back in. Factory Entertainment, what have you got yourself from Factory over the years? Something I was going to bring up with Barry was my personal favorite, which is downstairs. It's on the top of a shelf at the moment, because, well, it's the way it is. It's the way that the things that gather in this particular house. Let me just see if we're gonna. And I've got, this is me coming back now. Let me hit mute on that and turn that off. And put that there. Oh dear me. I'm trying that way. So yes, yeah. What was the thing that you've got yourself from Factory Entertainment over the years? Is it something that's near and dear to your heart? As it happens, I've got myself. I'm going to remove that and go for this one. Yeah, I've got myself the Star Trek SDCC exclusive, the Enterprise from the Undiscovered Country teacup and saucer, and I think I actually had this on the show. This was the exclusive for 2022, and I still love it. You can't get a really big full cup of tea out of it. It's very small and rather dinky, but yeah, I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to sort of like slurp away like I'm Sulu on the Excelsior, and yeah, it's lots of fun. I was trying my best to show the exclusives as well from this year. So let's see if I can. It's the pooter. It really is giving me grief because the computer's acting really slow, but the phone's nice and quick. I think the whole the comment from where is it? From Flint's Arcade. I get most of my Back to the Future merch from Factory. The free buttons from Guardians of the Galaxy, Batman, Star Trek, and a lot of swag. But he also did mention as well about this, which is the excellent. He's talking about the Star Trek bottle opener, which is just awesome. I am going to try and message Barry and get him back on in a desperate hope. But no, the bottle open, which is really, really cool. Love Factory each year at SDCC. Already excited to get the Star Trek Phaser bottle opener. Yeah, I mean, we can kind of tell you about the two exclusives that are currently up for grabs on the factoryent.com website. It's factoryent.com/collections/SDCC-2024. And yeah, it's two exclusives that are currently doing the rounds. We've got ourselves, let's see if I can bring this up on screen at least, because I'm broadcasting from the phone, but I've also got the laptop up, which is giving me grief, and the browser. Well, Barry's there. Is he trying on his phone as well?
Fortunately, because my internet just went out. See, I angered the gods.
Oh, hang on. Say that again.
I said my internet just went out completely. I've just lost all service. So we did anger the gods, you see. I don't know what we've done, but I think I better go and make some sort of blood sacrifice.
Oh, my Lord. It really is just, yeah, fun and games, isn't it? I was talking about what our personal favourites has been each year for getting factory merch. And considering that my personal favourite is downstairs, and it is the exclusive from 2022, the last year I went, which is the Enterprise Cup and Saucer. Not the biggest cup. I have made tea in there, and I did the wrap up for that particular year. And I introduced the show by having a slurp, 2 mouthfuls, and it was gone. It was, I mean, Sulu clearly is a sipper. He's not a gulper, he's a sipper. Because, yeah, that's just the way, yeah.
But very cup, and there's an interesting history because it's actually a coffee cup. When they were making the show, it's a found thing. It's from a ceramics company called Pfalzgraf, who are still in business, but they trade under another. They've been bought out so many times that they belong to someone else, and they got hold of a Pfalzgraf coffee mug.
Oh, here we go. He's going to go looking for his.
And they look like that. They were just blank. And forgive me, I'm on my phone and I'm a Luddite.
Don't worry about it.
Use an iPhone 6, so it's not great. And so they just added a decal to the front. And so you see it in the Excelsior. It is seen later on, this particular pattern from Pfalzgraf, which had this sort of attractive blue marbling on the edge. But yeah, it's a fairly small cup. I can't give you the size because I never worked it out. But it was listed in Pfalzgraf line as a coffee mug.
But it's so. I mean, it's for me as screen accurate as it can get, and it's a gorgeous looking cup. I mean, I do. I mean, as an undiscovered country fan, it was when that came up listed on exclusives for that year. You would not have. I would not have left the country if I hadn't got my hands on that. That was just absolutely amazing.
It was a real. Every now and again, you get to make something that you really love, and I passionately remember that movie, sitting in a dingy little theatre in Gerrards Cross, watching that as a younger kid. Was I a kid? Not really. I suppose I was a teenager. And I loved that scene. It was just so bizarre, and the way the funny thing is they made it. He's right-handed, but they made it left-handed because they needed him to be able to see the graph. So it's really uncomfortable. He sort of drinks it in a very. It's not a natural fashion at all. Because he was being forced to do something that felt unnatural, I guess. And then when we looked at redoing it, the ideal scenario would be to get hold of Pfalzgraf and say, "Can you give us the patterns?" We tried that, so we had to copy it as best we can, and we've got 3 versions. We did the original one, which was the Excelsior, and we will have some this year. We will have some more. There's some of the Enterprise D version, which you do see in a background shot. And I love the fact that it always used to make me laugh that ships of the line in Star Trek, as a throwback to, I guess, the days of sail, had their own sets of cutlery. and
Wow.
And it's a thing. I looked into it, and even today, modern battleships and aircraft carriers have, and they have best cutlery for like formal events, and then they have the regular nap stuff that they use every day. And I like to know. I think this is the best cutlery. When only Sulu would only drink out of the best. It wasn't the nap stuff, but then it did get broken. And there's a great little bit we learned from one of the prop masters, because when they drop it on the floor and it breaks, it's bone china and it's actually quite tough, and they had to do multiple takes to get it to break. Not brilliant. That I drop it on the floor, mind you.
Well, mine it comes out on the special occasions. It's in the box. It stays where it is. Like I say, I'm a huge fan of it. We've got a couple of comments coming in. Flynn's Arcade, and we've got it. We've had the comment put on screen for a while, because he's saying each year, already excited to get the Star Trek Phaser bottle opener. Big fan of this particular exclusive that's been announced. Showing us £18 on the UK site. How much is that in colonial money? Oh, I think he's just looking himself. Oh, you've gone awfully quiet there. Let me just unmute your mic. Oh, no, your mic isn't connected. I think you might have just caught your mic there, Barry, perhaps? On your iPhone 7? Because you disconnected briefly there for a second. I think it might just be a case of closing the browser, coming back on, and we'll carry on the conversation. I mean, Flynn's Arcade is definitely showing the factory love. Dog Circus not included with Batarang, no. And indeed, saying here, I recall a few years ago, Factory did a Jurassic Park claw bottle opener and car plate Isla Nubla. Those were absolute joy. You see, these are the kind of things. What are your favorites? Jump in, please, on the comments, and let us know if there's any favorites from the Factory entertainment booth that you want to kind of share. Very quickly as well, while Barry's just sorting himself out. Again, this is the website we're currently looking at, factoryent.com/collections/SDCC 2024. He's talking 6 particular exclusives, he says. Curious to see, I mean, he turned around and said that he feels that the legacy items have a lot more longevity and appeal on the floor. We've got Flynn's Arcade, Star Trek bottle opener 22. Yeah, okay, I should have worked out the calculation from that. At this point, I am kind of in San Diego Comic-Con mode, so I should have done my calculations in my head. I already know what time it is in the US, pretty much from the second I wake up. But yes, there you go. The American conversion has been provided. Yeah, the $22. He returns. Hello there, Barry.
So, I tell you, the best laid plans of mice and men.
It's Brits and internet. It doesn't matter if you're in California or if you're here in the UK. The moment you deal with the internet, you have to fight because. Listen, I watch enough American podcasts, and I wonder to myself how on earth they get that super buttery smooth podcast streaming quality. At which point, yeah, the Brits show up, and we just go, yeah, you are aware that we're running the entire country on hamsters at this point. So yeah.
We've got like a T1 line coming into this building that's supposed to be able to cope with an apocalypse, and it's literally completely dead. There's not a single bit of signal. We're in the Bay Area.
It's a Sunday. They also they save their monies, save their pennies. They pull the plug on a Sunday.
Possibly that, or again, maybe those Russian hackers that I angered back in the 90s.
Who knows? Who knows? So we're talking. I mean, like I say, one of the things I was going to talk about, like I say, the items that have been announced already. But like I say, we've got this really cool bottle opener. We've also got the Batarang as well, which has been announced. I think we've got that. If I can just add that to the stage, there we go. So that's the bottle opener that's up for grabs, and you got the Batarang as well. Really nice and affordable. These are really nice, cool items that it's not going to break the bank. And that does seem to be one of the big appeals when it comes to Factory. These are things that you're not going to just sort of like look at and suddenly go very, very pale. Just kind of thinking to yourself, how much of this? How really? I've got to buy some dinner tonight. How big a factor is that to production, getting a good quality item on your booth, but still keeping it very much in the reach of a penny pinching nerd?
Well, we're very, a lot of times this is people's first experience of us. They see us at Comic-Con for the first time, and we have, by all means, a range. I mean, people, you weren't there last year, so you will see it this year, hopefully in more detail. We have a range of things which we call masterworks, which are high-end, very high-end studio scale models. They're replicas of the filming models, 4-foot-long replicas of the Enterprise, and they start in the tens of thousands. So that can be a bit of a heart attack for people when they see it. They are intended to a very special audience. They're handmade by the actual model makers in some cases who made them for the original productions, and it's an obsolete art. You're paying for a genuine piece of art. Each one is is handmade, and sadly, with the exception of I can't think of any recent productions, physical model making in Hollywood is dead. Everything CGI. So of course, if somebody walks by the booth and sees that and good God, there is a decision made to try and at least say, but on the other side of the booth, we have a shop that has everything. And our bread and butter is prop replicas. That's what we do. That's in our DNA. And prop replicas, by their very nature, are expensive. They're low run. They're complicated to make. And the more elaborate and the more difficult they get. So we got plenty of $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 things. And that's a lot of, Comic-Con and any convention is not a cheap attend. By the time you got your bus fare and your ticket and your everything else, most people are looking. So yes, we do try to keep the exclusives below $100 certainly, because it's just it then becomes too elitist. Is that the right word? If somebody's just meeting us as a company and thinks, oh, those are the guys with the big spaceship, that's great if they remember that, but we also want them to remember, but we have other stuff as well.
Yes.
Have something for everyone. I know it's corny and it sounds that way, but prop replicas do not a business make. You can't run a company just doing prop replicas forever, because it's a very niche market. It's a very, very specialist market of very hardcore fans that we love appealing to, but it doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't keep the lights on. And you only need a show or a fan base to fall out of love with that fan base, and you're done.
So in that regard, then, because like I say, I feel a lot of people, especially those attending San Diego Comic-Con and kind of on the build up to it and looking forward to it, they are looking at exclusives, and they are seeing that kind of price point. How important then is the San Diego Comic-Con audience to Factory Entertainment as a long-term business and to its a longevity? How important is it for the show for you to go to?
We think very important. I mean, it's not a cheap show for us, and it never gets any cheaper. Every year it gets more expensive. But as yet, we still believe it's viable, because we do have people who come to us and believe it or not, they might buy the 20 quid bottle opener and then a year later buy a 500 pound sword. And it does happen. And we regularly hear from people who say, I learned about you from this little thing and this little, novelty. We do sometimes sub $5 exclusives that are just cheap, throwaway, silly things. Sometimes, we have our internal thing is it's either got to be cheap, funny, or cute, and practical, or has a purpose. And if we can combine all of those three things together, I'm going to say cheap, affordable, cute, and practical is the magic trilogy, we think, for an exclusive. But then sometimes there are just things that just people are really into, that they really, really want. And it's a thing, and there's a snowball going. And that's something that's happened less and less in Comic-Con in recent years. And I think it's probably for a good thing. The slight craze or hysteria of I must have this at all costs, because it's different. And here's me trying to make a living selling stuff, but that isn't always particularly. It doesn't have much longevity to it. And
Sure.
if you get in the hype, we want friends, we want fans who will be with us for the long haul, who will buy from us again and again, and we can talk to, because it becomes consistent business. I mean, it's great if you don't want to be, in the music analogy, you don't want to be the one hit wonder with that one pop song that you're then playing village halls, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but for the Wembley Stadium one night and then you're playing village halls 15 years later. You want the consistency, and you want to be able to come back again and again, because frankly it just makes more sense financially, because you don't want what used to happen. You'd see people at Comic-Con and they'd get there and they spend their whole time lining up and their whole time sort of trying to buy things, and then rushing off to the FedEx office to mail them out because they'd sold them on eBay, and they didn't have any time to stop and enjoy the show. That they were just rushing around, and it was buy, commercial, focus. And it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be able to come to the show, enjoy yourself, look at some fun stuff, meet like-minded people, and bring back a nice souvenir. It shouldn't be, we jokingly, a colleague of mine, we call it the field of battle. It shouldn't be the field of battle. It should be
Yes, but it is.
But as long as we don't have too many wounded soldiers, that's the aim. So that's what we're trying to go for, and we just want people to hang out at the booth and hopefully buy something, because we're there. This is how we feed our kids and pay our mortgages, but also to talk to us. And so yes, they are important. We do listen to the feedback. It can sometimes be, and I know anybody that's met me at Comic-Con will know I'm pulled in 20 different directions at once. They think I'm not listening, but I am, every word of it. And I can't always promise to act on it, but we do. We have had some things that we've, and here's me trying to think of a good example. Well, actually, I will. I'll give you a great example. It's not a Comic-Con exclusive, but from Star Trek, we have, this year's line has been focused on what we've learned at Comic-Con and other conventions. And this year is going to be a real challenge for us, because our two big shows that we do are Comic-Con and then Trek to Las Vegas, the big Star Trek show. That one happens simultaneously after I will leave Comic-Con on Sunday night and drive to Vegas and start the next show. And it's been a long time since I've done two back-to-back shows, and I'm not sure if my knackered old body can handle it, but we'll give it a go. But those are two prime shows, and we made choices based on what we learned from people at the show. There's nothing, I can show you this, which is the tricorder, and it looks great, but you can't tell that this weighs nearly 3 pounds and is made of metal. And when you open it up, it lights up and does everything. And handing that to someone at a show and saying, there you go, watching their face light up, it's, I don't want to get too corny about it, but that's kind of why I do this. There's no replacement for that. You can't yet, as far as I know, do that online. And you get honest, genuine feedback. We get inundated with online feedback, which we love and we do appreciate it, but it's often hard to separate the trees from the forest in that instance, whereas at a show you can. Now I've lost all audio.
You didn't hear any of that, did you?
I did not, sadly.
No, typical. Okay. Basically, I was going to say, I'm going to come back and ask about the relationship with fans on the shop floor again and on the convention floor. But this question's come in from Flynn's Arcade. Any plans for more CHS releases? Can you decipher that? What are CHS releases?
Yeah, we don't have any new ones. I'll be brutally honest with you. We've not been that pleased with the response. That product was designed to be a mass market product that's supposed to be in big retail to make it work. And we've got a real problem with all mass retail at the moment. They are incredibly risk averse. They don't want to take anything. And if it's not an action figure, they're not interested in it. And we don't make figural stuff anymore because we'd rather leave it to the experts, the NECAs and the Super 7s. And, they know what they're doing, and that business is crowded. So CHS, which is our, it's a riff on VHS. Years ago, I worked in a video store back in the day when that was a thing in the early 80s, in the late 80s. And it was just kind of funny to do the retro styling, and it's pins and keychains or key rings in a box set styled up to look like an old VHS tape.
Nice.
And they're great. They're perfect convention items. But yeah, we've made quite a few, and we're going to try and sell those through before we look at doing any new ones. Because we haven't been able to get it into any retailers. They're just not taking it because they're just not taking anything at the moment. Their job is almost as hard as ours. They're desperate to try and make ends meet and keep people going. And the industry is suffering from a funny bit of malaise. We've got nothing really driving it. We haven't had any big blockbuster excitement for a while, and everything's all in a holding pattern, maybe I'd say. But I've seen real fear from mass retail, and we've lost some important attendees. You know, Sideshow's no longer there. Entertainment Earth aren't going to be there this year. It ain't great out there at the moment, folks. I'll be honest. We're trying.
Well, I think we alluded to that earlier with the changing landscape when it comes to collectibles, when it comes to fandom, when it comes to San Diego Comic-Con. The audience has changed. The audience has, I mean, there's still the rabid fight for the badges, but at the end of the day, it's becoming a slightly more rarefied audience now, which I was going to ask about the changes that San Diego Comic-Con applied over the prior to COVID, when San Diego Comic-Con and fandom was at its absolute peak, with the introduction of the lotteries for exclusives, with the way that it kind of really sort of like mechanized the whole fandom to try and get as much out of the fans as possible. How did that how's that been reflected in how you've had to approach the fans, and how you've had to kind of keep the interest going?
It's tricky, because the harder you make something, you know, at the end of the day, attending a show should be fun. You shouldn't have to. It's not like being recruited to the CIA. It should be. But I realized there is, you know, equally the same for us. I can remember when we came from a former company who had been at Comic-Con, and we'd start, and we were at the back of the queue, and we were treated very much like we were at the back of the queue. And yeah, as an attendee, I mean, I notice it in my private life as friends of friends who I wouldn't have immediately this. Yes, you know,
I think we're starting to lose Barry again.
Back in the days of shows, a certain type of but the kid who wants to come gets for comedy.
Yeah, Barry's breaking. In fact, I think he's broken, which is a shame. Yes, we've lost him. Hopefully he's going to restart and rejigger and get him back on. What's your thoughts on this? We are talking about the way that we're talking about two separate things here, I think. The way that CCI and fandom has had to evolve from their perspective, as people are wanting to put on a show, but they also are coming from a perspective of being the world's leaders in this, the mecca of fandom, to then suddenly finding themselves having to really sort of keep everybody happy, because if they don't, the audience was just going to burn out, and it was either going to burn out naturally, which you were starting to see already in sort of like 2019, 2018. We were already starting to feel a little bit of malaise, and started to think, and maybe a couple of studios and companies and people down on the exhibition floor thinking to themselves, we've got them. They're going to keep coming. They're never not going to come. I mean, come on. What are the odds on Comic-Con? They're not going to. What's the odds on the world falling apart? And then the world fell apart. So within 4 years, I think CCI have had to reassess their audience, and I'm trying to work out if they still have. Have they reassessed, or are they still kind of running and on a lot of goodwill from their audience? Then there's the other option, the other conversation about the fact that fandom itself, it's starting to kind of splinter off and find other things, and it's then a case of has the audience stopped going from that perspective that they've felt a little underappreciated by conventions. So that's it's all a different conversation. Is that's something else entirely. You're back. Take 3.
Sorry about this. But you stick with us for this must have great perseverance. But these things are.
Don't worry about it. Well, listen, we're minutes away. We'll just get a couple more minutes out of you, and then we'll let all the stress go, and then you can stress about Comic-Con instead. Yay, fun. Speaking of which, you said you've got 6 exclusives. You said 6,
yeah.
Right? 2 out already.
And then there are reveals. We've not just got exclusives this year. We're going to do some reveals, and we're going to do what we're calling exclusives. And so there'll be a couple of new items that you'll be able to buy at Comic-Con first before anywhere else. It's going to try and it up a little bit.
Nice. Is that first announcement of that, or has that been announced already?
I believe we've announced that in a few places, but it's probably the first time I've spoken about it. So yeah, you'll see at least once a week, in some cases twice a week, reveals from us for the next 31 days. Well, slightly less than that.
Well, yes.
Stop before the show. We'll announce. We're in the US. Kind of nobody looks at email that weekend. It's a big event, so it's not worth announcing anything over that weekend. We found.
And he's breaking again. Oh no! We're holding on. We're holding on. Final stretch then. So yeah, in terms of the 4 remaining exclusives, as it were, as we know them, the traditional exclusives. When you talked about at the beginning of the conversation about legacy, about brand new stuff, what's the kind of split between? I mean, you're not going to announce, you're not going to tell me right now, but do you have an idea of the split between nostalgic and the legacy items and the brand new hot ticket?
60-40, 40% brand new
60-40.
and 60% legacy.
That's I can live with that.
Roughly.
I can live with that. That I can deal with. I also like the fact. Oh, go on.
It depends what you consider legacy too. You know, we got some shows now that you have to be reminded are 15 years old, and you think, really? But they are. So they're now legacy shows, but they seem like they were on yesterday.
Well, considering we've got the Batman Returns, and then I discovered what year that came out, and automatically I just I just shriveled, and it hurt. So yes, I totally understand that. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm going to kind of we'll say thank you so much indeed for coming on and getting what we could out of you. And to be fair, it's been fun to catch up with you. It's been fun to have that conversation. Is there anything that you want to say to the fans? Anyone that you want to say to anyone watching? What we can expect from Factory Entertainment 2024 on the floor?
Come by the booth. You'll have some big surprises. We're going to have a much larger spaceship.
It's
I just died again, didn't I?
Yes. I'm going to leave you with 2 words,
Did you
Barry.
get that?
Nope. I got bigger, spaceship, come by, and that was about it.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you with 2 words, and then I'm gonna let you get off. You'll understand it, because you've got the same kind of generation as me. The Americans might not understand it. Norman Collier, sir.
Yes. That made me smile. I was
There you
going to
go,
say
then.
this is a bit like an episode of On the Buses, but
we'll leave it at that. We'll let some Americans do some Googling. We'll let some Americans do some Googling and work that out for themselves. Okay. Barry, thank you so much indeed for coming on, mate. Much appreciated.
Again soon.
Take care. Oh my word. Listen, I mean, we've got Flynn's Arcade who's saying thank you, Barry, and I appreciated him coming on. You know, one or two of his mates showing up as well and saying hello. But no, technical issues, left, right, and centre. It was just yeah, fun and games. But we have people watching. We got some interesting insights into certainly the way that the landscape is when it comes to collectibles, exclusives, retailers generally on the floor. I mean, it's sounding like it's a tough landscape out there at the moment, and Factory are showing that the best way to kind of keep the best audience is just treating them with the best respect, and that's by putting some great stuff on their booth and just generally showing fandoms that fans and nerds can also come along and just celebrate it as well. So no, Factory Entertainment, well worth checking out, and of course those fantastic exclusives currently available, or what you can see and order. They're available to pre-order now, and they are the Batman Returns Batarang scaled prop replica and the very popular Star Trek Next Generation cricket phaser bottle opener, which is an exclusive. I would have liked to have gotten from Barry a timetable just to kind of find out what the best dates to keep a track on, and days to keep an eye on what's going on with the announcements. But yeah, it's a case of keeping a track on the social media. FactoryEnt.com is the website. FactoryEnt is actually their social media handle as well, and you can find them Facebook, Twitter for their sins. They have started to put some things on Threads, but I'm going to try and encourage Barry to put a little bit more on that platform. But no, keep your eyes open. We'll do our best to share as we keep going forward what the exclusives are. I was going to carry on doing some talking and doing some more announcements and carry on with what's happening with the future world of Comic-Con. But tell you what I'm going to do is we're going to scrap today, because technical issues have definitely been fighting us left, right, and center. I'm currently looking at a laptop and streaming from my phone because it's just been a bit of a nightmare left, right, and center. Maybe it's the heat starting to get to us. In the US, I know that you are in the middle of a quite serious heat wave. I mean, I could turn around and say and bitch and moan about the fact that we're 23 degrees here in the UK, going to be hitting 25, 26 tomorrow. In the States, I know that it's a whole other ball game. Please stay safe, hydrate, and look after yourselves. What I am going to be doing around this time, 6 o'clock, 5, 6 o'clock, I am going to be streaming to YouTube. Okay, I might try and stream to Facebook as well, but I think with YouTube, I can literally just go to the YouTube app and hit stream, and we'll do kind of like a 10-15 minute catch up. The reason why I'm going to start doing that is because now the metabolism of San Diego Comic-Con news is starting to ramp up. So we're going to get more guests announced. We're going to get more updates from artists and studios, panels, all of that. What I am certainly going to be doing is on the Sunday show, 2 weeks out from San Diego Comic-Con, we are going to be dealing with the panels and the panel announcements. So that we're going to be doing on a pretty much day-to-day basis, because I don't want to do what I did last year, which was Sunday just doing the whole thing in one go. And it was a 2.5 hour show, and it got a bit silly. So let's break it down. Let's talk about the actual, and that was a quiet year. We're back up to hopefully some kind of speed. So that's what's going to be happening on next week's show. Also happening next week, and at this point, I am trying to nail down the day when we're going to be doing it. We have got ourselves another special guest, which I'm looking forward to talking to. Chip Mosier who is the co-publisher, one of the three head honchos behind Distillery, nominated for Eisners for The Devil's Cut, for the anthology, a whole bunch of Distillery creatives. Have it the right way around, then. Distillery creatives are nominated for Eisners this year. So this is a fantastic opening year for Distillery. We're going to be talking to Chip about what San Diego Comic-Con means to them as a burgeoning creative firehouse. We've also got all the Eisners. What do the Eisners still mean in 2024? Where we are with comics and fandoms and prestige books such as this. Who is the audience? It's going to be people like me with some disposable income, because your average kid's not going to be able to have sort of £9 kicking around to buy yourself a comic. It takes comics into a whole other realm. We're going to be talking to Distillery, Chip Mosier, at some point this week. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday. Keep your eye on your social media, because I'll do my best to get that announced the best I can ahead of time. If you are interested in that conversation, which I guarantee you should be, because some great talent on the Distillery roster, and Chip has got himself one hell of a bucking bronco to look after when it comes to this particular title. So there we go. We're also going to be doing, throughout the course of the week, the announcements are starting to come out of San Diego Comic-Con as well. Badges have started to go out. They have started to arrive. Has been announced on the unofficial blog, and that was discussed when the badges started to arrive, and people started posting stuff and nonsense, and so the fact that these badges had arrived. The graphic that is now the con badge graphic, which is from Paramount Plus. What a waste of a advertising opportunity, of a branding opportunity, a stark blue background and just the Paramount Plus logo. The first thing I thought was the line so far has been that the advertising department and the promotion departments of most of the film studios have been absolutely gutted and decimated. Is this the evidence of that? It's pretty poor, very poor indeed. But the badge is the thing. It gets you into the door. So, yes, hopefully you can hold that with pride, even if you aren't a stark blue Paramount Flynn's okay, Paramount Con. Yeah, so long as the banners that are inside the actual convention center itself don't look as stark as that, hopefully we'll have some kind of creative displays from companies like Paramount. But there we go. Right, I'm going to get off. Like I say, it's been a bit ramshackle today, and I do apologize for that. We have had a message from Barry. He is genuinely embarrassed about the fact that the internet in his building has gone tits up. I'm going to go off and have a cup of tea in my Factory Entertainment USS Excelsior teacup and saucer. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Like I say, keep your eye on your social media, because even if they're not going to be full hour shows, I'm going to be doing little short. I didn't say that we did last hour. We are going to be doing little shorts throughout the course of the week, and pretty much I'm going to try every day doing a live stream. So please do join us for the show and for what we've got planned for San Diego Comic-Con. Even if it's a case of me in 10 days' time just going, you know what, sod all of this. I'm just going to go to the show and enjoy myself. And you never know. That may even be an option. But for now, I want to try and keep the community going. You've done me proud today by your comments. Thank you so much indeed for your support, and indeed for jumping in with all of the comments to Barry today. It's been a lot of fun, if a little bit challenging. Okay, take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully I will see you next Sunday on a slightly more solid, there you go, slightly more solid show next week. Yeah, from me to you, I want a pint. I'm going to go get a pint now. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.